Hey, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome back
everyone.
to the His and Her Money Show. I'm Talent.
And I am Ty. We're from hisandhermoney.com, where we're teaching you how to have better money
Become a better couple.
and live a better life.
We're so glad that you guys are here with us today for another
It's gonna
fantastic
be a good one.
episode
Oh my
because this is going to be good.
Yes.
A lot of people have a lot of questions about credit, and there's a lot of information out there about credit, but not all of it is solid. I
That's
mean, there's a
true.
lot of people out here talking about they credit experts and ain't got two
Pay me
nickels
do
to rub
this, and
together.
I'll wipe that out, and you didn't do the work.
We done
Like,
seen it. We're not talking about hearsay. We done seen some folks like you fixing credit now.
We
So
have very shocking.
so you know us at His and Her Money, man. We only bring you the best and the brightest minds and voices. We only bring you the authentic personnel to help you on your journey to freedom. And today is no different. We are really excited because we know this is a question mark for a lot of people. Man, credit affects so many areas.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about getting a house or maybe a car. Like every aspect of your life is touched by credit. Insurance, cell
Yeah,
phone,
so true.
utilities, on and on, jobs.
Mhm.
People losing jobs
Yeah.
over it. You know what I mean? So it's important that we have the right knowledge.
Yeah,
on
I
this
I
topic.
think that a lot of times you hear, at least growing up, you hear, "Oh, make sure you have good credit, or make sure you build your credit." And it's like, what is that? Everyone does not know what that is or how to go about doing so.
Yeah. So today's special guest is none other than Jeri Toliver from flycredit.com. Welcome, Jeri.
Welcome.
Hey, Talat and Ty.
Hold on, we
so
got
excited
we
to
got
be here.
applause.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad that you're here because you know your stuff, man. We have been watching your stuff ourselves. Like, yep, she knows what she's talking about. And so we were super excited that you're able to make some time out of your busy schedule to come on and help us all understand this thing called credit a little bit better. But for those who are being introduced to you for the very first time, can you just say hello to everybody that's tuned in and let them know what you are all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really excited about being here. It's, Monday, we're in the middle of a quarantine, and a lot of people have a lot of questions about their credit and their money. And so I figured, well, you know what? Now is the time, right, to start getting serious about our credit because like you all have already mentioned, credit plays a big deal in a lot of things that we do, from our jobs to our interest rates to the payments that we make to the deposits that we have to pay. It's just, credit is an overall lifestyle. And so if you all have not heard of me before, my name is Jeri Toliver. I am the CEO of Fly Credit, where we help you have better credit, better opportunities, and a better lifestyle. Now, I love everything about credit scores. Like, I'm like the credit fanatic, and I love everything about having good credit, what lifestyle will be able to come out of that, and just the money that you'll be able to save. But the thing is this, y'all, I didn't always have good credit. I had a 545 credit score once upon a time. I was swimming in over $31,000 of credit card debt. So I know what bad credit is all about. I've lived that lifestyle. I know what that feels like. And it was frustrating for me because what I later realized was I was just ignorant. I didn't know any better. And so I started to get more serious. And I learned that it was time for me to become a homeowner. I'm a single mom of two. My son, he's 11. My daughter, she's 8. And they are the joys of my life. But I couldn't keep living a life of financial, distress and I couldn't keep throwing my money away. And so I picked up a book called, you ever seen this book before?
Mm-hmm.
The Richest Man in Babylon. Excellent book. Excellent book. I picked up this book and it changed the way I thought about money. It changed the way I thought about credit. It changed the way I thought about wealth in my life, period. It's easy to read. It's short. If you have kids, tell your children to read it. If you start a book club in the house, if you got to, because this book right here was really a game changer for me. And so after I read that book, I took my scores from 545 to a 765 in 8 months. And then I bought my first house after that. And I kept working diligently. And I finally reached 850 last year. So, it took me some sweat, some tears, some time, but it was all worth it because now I get the best rates. Now I don't, have to put deposits down or any type of down payments. And now we've been able to teach thousands upon thousands of people across the nation how to do the exact same thing. So it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
that sounds pretty amazing. to
Yeah,
me.
I want to say that book is amazing. The Richest Man in Babylon. If you have not had a chance to either listen to the audio or either read it. Now the book is so old. I think there's probably like a free copy online somewhere. But you definitely want to make sure you check it out because it pumped me up too and inspired me as well. Like, man, I want you to talk about what actually sparked this though. I mean, I think that's incredible that now you're sitting at an 850.
Perfect.
Was it a defining moment that you recall that said, I got to get myself together?
When I got denied, we have a good way of waiting until the last minute to do things. And I am definitely that person. And so I wanted to get myself out of this small 500 square foot apartment with me and my kids, right? We were struggling, living in this crazy neighborhood. People were robbing folks. It was a mess. And so I said, you know what? I really want to have something that we can call our own. One of the principles that I read in this book was to own your own dwelling. That was one of the main principles in the book. Own your own dwelling. And I said, okay, well, if I want to build some wealth, if I want to pass something down to my children, maybe I should go buy a house. So I went to go, searching for a house. I'm out there. I'm going from door to door. I'm out there with the realtor. And she's like, well, did you get your pre-qualification yet? And I said, a pre-qual what? Like, what's that? So I went to the bank to get the pre-qualification and I got denied. And it was like a dagger in my heart because I thought I was going to get approved, but he told me that my score was too low. So I pulled my credit scores. I saw how low they were, but I didn't know where to start improving it. So that's where I just start tumbling down into that rabbit hole. And I learned so much about how to improve your credit. I learned so much about how to get those bad derogatory marks off your report so that you can raise your scores and really just clean up your good name, right? Restore your good name. And so I learned so much, and then I ended up getting certified, and I teach other people how to do it now. It's crazy how it started from just one simple idea, and it just kind of spiraled into something bigger than anything I could have ever thought it would be.
So, I mean, you said that you have helped thousands of people get this together. That means there's a whole lot of people out here with bad credit. So you used to have bad credit. I used to have bad credit. Ty came out the womb with an 800 credit score and ain't never looked back. But for me, I was messed up like you were. And there's a lot of people, right? We have normalized bad credit, Jeri.
Like it's cute.
Why has that happened? How do we awaken ourselves for those that are still in a slumber about the seriousness of having a handle on your credit?
I think it really boils down to understanding. Oftentimes we have a bad misconception about what credit is. I hear it all of the time. People think that credit equals debt, or people think that, credit is just some way of banks trying to put you in this spiral of uncontrollable, money management, just poor money management. And it's not really like that. It's not debt. You could get debt, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day is this. People always think that cash is king. People say that all the time. Cash is king, cash is king, cash is king. But cash is really only king when you have a lot of it. And so if you don't have the money to go buy the house, or if you don't have the cash to go buy the car, you're going to have to lean on your credit. And there's nothing wrong with that. But too often we turn our backs on it, or we ignore it altogether until it's too late, until we have to go get the job, until we have to go apply for the insurance, until we have to go get the house, until we have to go get that new apartment. And then we're stuck looking and settling for the worst because we've already made up in our mind that that's all that's available to us. And so I think finding understanding about your credit is the first step. Realizing that those 700 credit scores can be yours. Honestly, repairing your credit is probably one of the most easiest things that you can really do. Once you understand the strategies, once you understand the steps, once you understand even your rights as a consumer, you have rights as a consumer that you can exercise and leverage to keep it, to maintain good credit. So, sometimes we just kind of give up. All right. Sometimes we start tackling our credit for about a week or so, and then our scores are going up and down. We're feeling really discouraged, and then we just give up. But if we just keep going, right? If we keep, striving towards getting those better credit scores, finding understanding behind the steps that you actually have to take, understanding how your credit score is actually calculated, what brings your score up, what brings it down, just having understanding is the first step to making significant gains. That's the first step.
So good.
So I want to talk about me for a second, because I don't know if you went through this. I don't know if anybody listening went through this, but part of the mountain of debt that I created for myself was credit card debt. I did not do well with credit cards, to the point that once I was awakened, like, I need to get this together, need finances to be better than what they are now. Ty and I got married. We were working to get out of debt, which we did. But for the first, how long? 1 year, 2 years?
I would say first 6 months.
First 6 months of our marriage, I said, I want nothing to do with this credit card. You can have it. I don't need a copy. You do your thing. Like, I was
And it was my credit card that I got.
Yeah,
from
I
college.
wanted nothing to do with credit cards because I had jacked it up so bad. Didn't know how to use, didn't have discipline around it. So for me, in my head, the best thing to do was to stay completely. I went to the other extreme, and I was like, I'm just avoiding credit cards, like a real avoidance. Like, didn't want nothing to do with it, right? Because of the emotions of the disaster that I created for myself. When I left the house, I was 17. Okay. So I did a lot of dumb stuff and fell on my face and had the scars to prove it. And so I was really gun shy. So when you're trying to pull yourself up out of a mess that you created out of ignorance or out of lack of discipline, and you are teaching others, like you do, to start to move in the right direction, how do we overcome maybe some emotional scars that come around us and credit? We see in ourselves and credit as opponents instead of allies.
Mm-hmm.
I love that question, actually, because I feel that, being right after I got out of high school, I racked up almost $32,000 of credit card debt. And, when you go in college, they give you all these offers, and they give you all these pre-approvals for these credit cards. You're like, oh yeah, free money. Yeah. But then you realize that, I have to pay this stuff back. So if you really want to make some change, right, it's really about developing new habits, identifying where you're going wrong. Because I was like you, Talad, I did not want to have anything to do with credit cards after I paid that debt off. I was just like, it's so hard to get out of debt once you get in it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so don't swear it off, okay? Because this is one of the points that I always tell people: don't swear off credit. Don't swear it off, because having good credit could benefit you in the long run significantly. It could save you money in interest rate payments. And interest rate payments are really what's robbing us blind. My first car payment was for this pretty little orange Grand Prix. It's 2004 Grand Prix GT. It was orange. It was beautiful, right? It was $12,500. Beautiful little car. You know what wasn't beautiful about it? The interest rate. 29% interest. The life of that loan, I ended up paying $20,000 for that car. For a $12,000 car, I ended up paying over $20,000 for it because of interest rates. So it's just developing new habits around credit. It's not spending more than you actually can pay, or not, overusing your credit cards or maxing them out, or not paying them late. Just developing new disciplines. Now, you were smart a lot. If you know you don't have the habits or you haven't built the discipline yet, that's absolutely okay. Being aware of it is the best part about it. Being aware that, okay, I'm not ready for that step yet. I'm not ready to manage it yet. However, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get there. But right now, Ty, just take this credit card so that I don't mess this up, right? So it's just being responsible. That's a level of responsibility. And so when we become more responsible about our credit and the actions and the decisions and the habits that we have around it, only then will things start to change. So if you're in credit card debt right now, you're trying to get out of credit card debt, one of the main things that I did was I did stop spending on the credit cards. That's definitely one thing that I did, was stop spending. And then 2, I started really tackling the credit cards one by one so that I could start getting the debt off my back. Credit card debt is very stressful. It's extremely, extremely stressful. But stop spending on it. Don't pay it late. Don't max out your credit cards, and just focus on just taking that credit card and paying that credit card debt down. And it'll really make you feel more confident about your credit after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure some people are like, wait. She paid off her credit card debt, $32,000. Tell everybody, how did you do that? How long did it take you to do it? And what was your process? What was your steps? I heard you say you took one at a time, but what was your technique?
So the technique that I used was balance transfers. Now, balance transfers really only kind of work for people that have relatively good credit. So what I ended up doing was I built my credit high, I got my scores higher, and then I started tackling the debt using a balance transfer card. So what I realized was that there are a lot of different types of credit cards out here. There are credit cards that'll give you points to travel for free. There are credit cards that'll give you cash back on stuff that you're already spending money on. There are credit cards that'll help you save money if you transfer some balances, right? So I ended up getting a credit card that had a 0% rate for the first, I think 18 months it was. First 18 months, 0% rate. Now, I was paying $32,000 of credit card debt over 8 different credit cards. 8 different credit cards. They all the interest rates range from about, 17 to 24%. And so I really wanted to first eliminate the interest payments because that's how you save money, is eliminating the interest payments. So I just took one balance. This credit card had a $2,000 balance, right? So I transferred the $2,000 balance over to a card that had a 0% interest rate. So now this new card has a $2,000 balance on it. However, it's not incurring any interest. And so I worked on paying that card down while it had no interest. Once I paid that down, then I transferred the balance from the second card over to that next card, to that same card with the 0% interest rate. And then I kept paying on that down, just attacking it until it was off. And then I transferred another balance over. So I was really just eliminating the interest payments. That's really what I was doing. And then attacking the card. And so I really paid off that debt in a little over 8 months. Wow. Just by eliminating interest payments.
Yeah, I know that to be true. That's why when we shared our story of how we paid off our home, we shared the interest. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I paid off a $100,000 home. But really, how much did that home cost you? So for us, it was $25,000 in interest, and we have great credit scores. We had a great rate as well at the time, and it still cost us $25,000 when it was all said and done. So I know that to be true. You all look at your interest, and let's start figuring out a way to either knock it down by doing balance transfers. One time I had a client that did a home equity line of credit on her home, and it made sense because she only paid off of what she drew, even though let's say she took a $20,000 home equity line of credit. If she used $3,000, she was only paying $3,000 prime plus whatever the rate was, and it was much lower than her credit card debt. So we tell people there's so many options out there, but you must be disciplined. You must be disciplined. You must be disciplined. So Tyler and I, we're not against credit. Matter of fact, we think that you should have credit, good credit, and that's why we got you on here. Exactly. Yeah.
So somebody that's like, okay, you got my attention, Jeri. You're right, man. I need to stop messing around. This credit thing is more serious than I've been giving it credit. No pun intended.
You were waiting to say that, I think. I think it was in the back of your mind.
Freestyle.
You were waiting to say that,
was off the top of the dome.
But I think you were waiting to say that.
All right. So they're ready. Where do they begin? What do they need to do first? They believe you. They're ready. Mm-hmm. They're tired of being ignorant, but they don't know what step to endeavor at next.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to give you 3 steps, my friends. 3 steps to start improving your credit. The first step is you got to pull your credit reports. That is the first step. You've got to pull your credit reports. Now, you can do this a couple of ways. You could do it for free at annualcreditreport.com. They will give you all 3 of your credit reports for free. They only do this every 12 months. A revolving 12 months is when you can get a free report. Now, they don't give you your scores. If you want to get your scores, you'll have to get your FICO score from myfico.com. Or you can use like Credit Karma. They give you some scores, but they're a different type of score. So if you want your FICO, your true score, you will have to go to myfico.com. But the first things first is you do have to pull all 3 of your credit reports and scores. These are your Equifax, these are your Experian, and these are your TransUnion reports. Now, once you pull your reports, you want to get them in your hand. You want to get you a highlighter. Something like this, a little highlighter. And then you want to highlight any derogatory or negative account that is reporting on your credit. Now, there are a lot of different types of negative accounts. It could be a bankruptcy, a charge off. It could be a late payment. It could be a delinquent student loan. It could be a collection account, a medical bill. There's a lot of different types of accounts that could be on your credit right now. But all I want you to do is I want you to highlight what is negative, what is reporting negative on your credit. Because sometimes I do have some of my students that'll start disputing on their credit, but they'll dispute the positive stuff. You don't want the positive stuff to go. You want the positive stuff to stay. So highlight the negative marks. This is the name of the account, the account number, and then I want you to highlight even some of the inconsistencies that are on your credit report, because you're going to have to move into step 2, which is to dispute the errors that are on your credit report. Now, you should know that even if something on your credit report belongs to you, you can still dispute it. You can still dispute it if it belongs to you. And you can legally even get it off, because you have rights as a consumer. You have a couple of major rights as a consumer. You have the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You've got the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. There's a lot of different acts that you should know about. But nevertheless, these are your rights that you can start leveraging to clean up your credit reports from errors. Now, these errors could be the date that the account was opened, or maybe even the balance history, or maybe even the date or the last payment. There's so many different errors that you could probably pinpoint on your credit report, and errors nothing erroneous, nothing outdated, none of that. It cannot be reporting on your credit. Your report has to be 100% accurate, 100%. You would be amazed at how many credit reports have errors on them. You'd be amazed at how many credit reports have errors on them. But all you got to do is pinpoint it. Now, once you pinpoint the errors, then what you're going to do is you're going to dispute them. You're going to write a dispute letter. Now, we have a lot of videos on our, our YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, we explain a lot about how you can dispute information on your credit reports and how you can raise your scores. But you do have to dispute this stuff on your credit if you want to start raising your credit scores, because you got to clean up your reports. You got to clean up your reports of the negatives so you can just reflect positively, right? So get the negative stuff off. Start writing dispute letters. Now, you can write a dispute letter to the credit bureaus, and you can write dispute letters to the creditors. I advise that you do both, okay? Write it to the credit bureau, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And then you also write another letter to the actual creditor, which could be Sprint or Verizon or the person that actually has an account out on you, okay? So write those dispute letters and send it, okay? After they receive the letter, after they receive it, they have 30 days to respond to you and let you know what the outcome is of the dispute/investigation. Now, they may tell you that the information that you're disputing is valid and it should be on your credit reports. A lot of the times that's false. So what you have to do is keep following up. You got to keep following up. Follow-up is key if you want to be successful in credit repair. If you want to be successful, you just got to keep following up. Now, after you start cleaning up your credit reports, after you start seeing some of those derogatory information being cleaned off your reports, then you're going to move into step 3, which is rebuilding your credit file. Okay, your credit file needs a host of different things. It needs some credit cards reporting. It needs a couple of paid off loans. You can also add some of your utilities now. You can use Experian Boost. Experian Boost can now report some of those utilities that you're paying that's not reporting on your credit right now, right? Like your cell phone or your water bill or your electricity bill. Those aren't reporting your credit unless you don't pay them, right? Unless you don't pay it, then they're going to go into collections and then it's reporting on your credit. But by then, you don't want it to report on your credit. So then you start rebuilding. Get a couple of loans, get some credit cards, a secured credit card. You can get rental history reported on your credit. If you're a renter right now, go to rentreporters.com. They can report the last 2 years of your rental payments to your credit reports. So there's so many different ways to go about the rebuilding, but it's just a three-phase process. Pull your reports and highlight any negative accounts, dispute and follow up, and then step 3, rebuild.
Man, she just dropping all kind of stuff on it. Man, do y'all got y'all pen and pencil out in y'all papers? Because she giving y'all the game, man. Stop playing. Y'all know how we do. We told you we only bring you the best of the best. So they took those good notes and they're like, is this really possible? Like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it, Jeri. But like, for real, can I really, really improve my credit And how long is realistically am I looking at to going from not being approved to being looked at favorably by creditors?
That's a great question. And it's all really dependent upon the condition of your credit, right? So, a person that may have one collection account on their credit, it may not take them as long to rebuild their credit as someone that may have a couple of bankruptcies and a repo and such. So I always just tell people to give themselves some time, at least 4 to 6 months at a minimum, but at least, give yourself 1 to 2 years if you can. Because yeah, sure, I could have stopped at a 765 and just been cool with that, but it took me 4 more years to get to an 850. So it wasn't an overnight process. And building your credit and repairing it, it's not an overnight process. So just give yourself some time, be compassionate with yourself, because it's an up and down roller coaster that you're going to be on. But nevertheless, if you just keep pushing, if you keep trying, if you keep going, you're going to eventually get it. I always tell people all credit is repairable. All of it is. Because think about it. After 7 years or so, all negative accounts drop off your credit anyway. So if you had a mistake 7 years ago, then it's going to be deleted automatically off your credit already. It's just going to happen automatically, right? So all credit is repairable. Never get yourself in a rut. Don't get discouraged. Just keep pushing, stay focused, and be diligent about reaching your goals. That's the only way you're going to be able to get there. If you quit, you'll never be able to get there. And I always find people that'll start on their credit repair. They'll start, and then 3 months down the line, they stop. And then 2 years later, they're like, well, I need your help again. Think about where you would be right now if you just would have stayed with it. If you just would have kept going, if you didn't quit and you just stay focused on your goals, you would be there by now. So, just be compassionate. Give yourself some patience, 4 to 6 months at a minimum. But depending on the condition of your credit, give yourself a year or two.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
What do you want for your family? It's time to make a decision. Taking care of your financial well-being while building trust with your spouse doesn't have to be tough, and learning how to do it won't cost you a fortune. Tala and Ty McNeely, the creators of His and Her Money, present to you Power Couples University. Imagine if you reduce financial stress and take control of your life. Come be equipped with the tools for money management, wealth building, relationship wellness, and entrepreneurship. Get access to online courses, live Q&A sessions with Tala and Ty McNeely, a private accountability group, and expert masterclass sessions from the world's smartest money and entrepreneurship experts. Don't wait. It's time to make a decision. Power Couples University. Visit powercouplesuniversity.com for more details. And now, back to the show.
Now, you said that it takes a whole lot of extra work to get to the 850. But what's a score that is still favorable? It may not be the perfect 850, but if that's the ultimate goal, what is the goal to be looked at as having good credit or excellent credit versus perfect credit? Does that make sense?
Then I would also ask, for those that want to achieve to get an 850, what did you do to do that?
850.
Yeah, it's a very specific formula. So the first things first, if you want to be looked as favorable, right? You want to be able to go in the bank, clapping your hands, it's my money and I need it now, and actually get it, right? And actually get approved. You want to get yourself to like a 720, minimum 720. 720 is good. 680 is pretty decent. 720, I want y'all to shoot for that. I want you to put it on your board, write it down in your notepad, stick it on your head, do whatever you need to do to remember it. That 720 is where you all really want to be. You'll be able to get the best rates. You'll be able to get the best offers. You'll be able to get approved, whatever your heart desires, at a 720, okay, at a 720. Now, if you're like somebody like me that's like a perfectionist and you just really want to go for the 850, there's a couple of things that you need to know. Number one, you are going to need a lot of patience, because building an 850 credit score actually takes time. You are going to need an average of 9+ years of credit history. Okay, 9+ years of credit history. You are going to need at least 21+ accounts that's reporting on your credit. Now, they don't all have to be open, by the way. Some of them can be closed, but you have to have credit history. Credit history is really what gets you there. So you need about 21+ accounts, open and closed. You need 9+ years of credit history, overall payment history. You have to have 0 negative derogatory marks on your credit. You need to have not pulled your credit, about 0 to 1 time every 2 years. And that's pretty much the formula. Yeah, no maxed out cards, no delinquents, no late payments, none of that. You got to have perfect, flawless credit and really excellent credit history. So you have to have accounts that have been open for quite some time, that you've been paying on for quite some time in order to get yourself there.
Now, talk to those who they are wanting to become completely debt free. So we had these conversations even when we paid off our mortgage. Talk about those who right now, maybe they are completely debt free, but they also want to make sure that they have good credit. They want to build their credit. What are some recommendations that you would give to them? Would it be to have a credit card or 2 or 3? What would you tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. Having credit cards is like a savior for your credit score. Loans, although they do build your credit score, credit cards are really where it's at. So, if you really want to have strong credit history, because revolving accounts don't close, right? If you've got a credit card, most of the time you can keep your credit card open as long as you possibly can, rather than loans. Loans always come to an end at a certain point in time. So you'll open loans a little more frequently than you would maybe even a credit card. So credit cards are like savior for your credit scores. I've got people that have filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and they have been able to build 720 plus credit scores by just applying and getting new credit cards and then just using that responsibly. A lot of people think that once they file bankruptcy, their life is over. But that's quite the opposite, actually. When you file bankruptcy, most of the time it's a new beginning for you, actually. So you can start over, you can do something different, you can have more success. You don't, just not make the same mistakes, of course, right? But you can build excellent credit and still be debt free just by having credit cards.
Okay, yeah, I know someone personally as well. 2 people actually that have filed bankruptcy, and you're right, they're able to rebuild. I had another question. What was my other question?
Well, in the meantime, while Ty gets her thoughts together, one of our power players from Power Couples University, she's in here live, and she said, Jeri, I'm on my way. She talking about that 850. She's at 768 right now. But what's really dope, obviously, guys, Jeri knows what the heck she's talking about. I think that's been made very obvious. And she has a resource that I want her to tell you about, because we're about to shift the conversation into a credit conversation that not too many people are having. But before we go there, please tell everybody about your 850 blueprint course where you help people get to that ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for a complete blueprint, a complete strategy, you just kind of copy and paste my formula to getting 850 credit scores, then you'll be able to find that in the 850 Blueprint course. In fact, the 850 Blueprint course teaches you exactly what I did to get to 850 credit scores. Not only that, I also teach you how you can get the most out of your 850 credit score. So how you can get those credit cards that can pay you back, how you can get those credit cards that can take free trips on. Me and my family, we take an average of 4 to 5 free trips a year, all by using the power of our credit cards. And so we actually teach you how to do that by using the 850 Blueprint. We teach you how to get all these different type of travel cards, cashback cards. It's all in the 850 Blueprint. So if you're looking for a way to fast track your way to 850, if you don't want to pull your hair out and struggle on your way to getting there, just copy and paste my formula, get yourself to 850, and you can do that in the 850 Blueprint. You can find that in our Fly Credit University. You can find that at members. Actually, so you guys actually have a link directly for it, don't you?
Yeah, just go to hisandhermoney.com/850 credit score. That's 850. I said it wrong. It's hisandhermoney.com/850 blueprint. Named after the course. So 850 blueprint, hisandhermoney.com 850 blueprint. And let Jeri show you. I want an 850, Ty. I mean, we've been in the 8s. I want an 850. I think I want the perfection. I think I want the 850. If you want the 850 out there, then go to hisandhermoney.com/850 blueprint.
Yep. Yeah, and it'll show you how you can fast track it, and you can do it a lot faster than it took me, honestly. Most times it takes people the longest amount of time to get there because it takes them long to get the accounts. You need 21 plus accounts. And they're like, well, how am I going to get 21 plus accounts? Let me tell you, In the course, I actually teach you how you can get the 21 plus account without experiencing a credit check. So kind of hijack your way to 850, really.
You got
Yeah,
secrets. You got secrets.
That's so good.
I got secrets.
I remember my question. We get this all the time. And how would you answer this? A lot of times people are paying off their credit cards and they're like, Tanya Talent, do I close them while I'm paying them off, or do I pay them off and then close them? What would you tell them?
Let me tell y'all a story about this. Okay. When I was moving back in 2015, I was moving to my house. This was actually around the time when I made my last credit card payment to pay my debt off, right? And I closed my credit card thinking that I was getting rid of debt. Mm-hmm. But what ended up happening really was that I got rid of some payment history, and I got rid of some age of my payment history, which actually dropped my scores 112 points. So my answer to that question would be, don't close your credit cards. Keep your credit cards open as long as you possibly can, even if they're paid off, even if they have a $0 balance on them. That's fine, because it's not debt. You know, your credit cards aren't debt unless you swipe them. It's when we start swiping them, that's when we start getting into debt, right? But I mean, you could have $100,000 of credit available to you and you're not in debt. It's just available for you to use if you need it. You know, if you need an emergency, if you need to go, whatever you want to do, that's what it's there for. So never close your credit cards. Keep them open as long as you possibly can so you can build that history. History is great for your credit scores. And banks love to see it, right? Banks love that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. That's exactly what we tell them as well. But we do know that over time, some companies, they do like cleaning checks and stuff like that, and they will close them as well if you have not used them in a long time. So would you suggest that you still make, like, even if it's a small purchase every year or every few months? It doesn't have to be monthly.
Oh, it doesn't have to be. Okay.
But do something with it to at least keep it active in there.
Yeah, I would say so. I actually got a couple of my credit cards closed over these last couple of weeks. Retail cards mainly that I wasn't using. But I would definitely say give the cards activity that you want to stay open. That's what I would definitely say, because I don't want any of my cards that I really like to get closed. But if you don't want your card to get closed, absolutely give it some activity. But the funny thing is, even if you only use it for $20, $30, $100 payments, they'll sometimes decrease your credit limit. And sometimes decreasing your credit limit actually drops your scores. So I would say, manage your credit cards the best that you can. The best way that I do it, because I have 36 credit cards. I think I lost count, but I have a lot of credit cards. And the way that I manage not getting them closed is that I kind of rotate between when I use them. So I'll use this credit card for these 3 months, and then I'll use these credit card for this 3 months. So I'll just kind of rotate them to give them the activity that it needs to keep them open. But just don't close them. That's one thing that you definitely don't want to do.
Now, what about those who are married and they have joint credit cards? Talk about, because we had to deal with this even in the beginning of our marriage, being a primary user or owner and then an authorized user. The authorized user, I mean, it goes to, well, you could talk about it more than I can, better than I can, but talk about what should these couples be doing if they do have credit cards? How should they be on the cards together?
I would say have a plan. Have a plan. I would say that the person that's the most responsible should definitely be the primary account holder. And then the person that probably doesn't have as much experience with credit should probably be the authorized user on the account. But have a plan. Because I've had a lot of husbands that have come to us complaining about the fact that their wife cannot stop swiping. She just be on Amazon and just shopping her little tail off and just having the most fun on the internet, right? And he's like, I got to keep paying on this credit card. She keep maxing it out. What do I do? You got to take it from her. So just have a plan. Have a plan on how you want to use and manage the credit card. What are you going to use it for? What are the restrictions on the credit card? Are we asking each other for permission to swipe it? Like, just have some rules and boundaries around how you're going to manage it. Because the last thing you want to do is have arguments about unnecessary debt if, you could kind of get the plan out there up front so that you don't find yourself in that situation. So I would just say plan, and then manage it responsibly with the primary account holder that has the best credit.
All right. Now, you've been giving us gold on the personal side, but there's a conversation that needs to be doggone had, because here it is in Her Money. We all about, handling your money, getting out of debt. investing, but we are also big proponents of entrepreneurship. And one conversation that is barely had in most circles is business credit. Business credit is its own thing outside of personal credit. So for entrepreneurs, current and budding entrepreneurs, help us understand, Jeri, why we need to understand business credit.
Oh man, there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons why budding entrepreneurs or even seasoned entrepreneurs need business credit. Number one, first of all, when you have business credit, you can separate it from you as a person, right? Like if something were to happen to your business and it goes under, okay, it happens. You can start another business. It doesn't, take you out. The problem is a lot of people build their businesses under their personal name, and then it really wipes out their savings account. They end up maxing out their personal credit cards. It really wreaks havoc on their overall personal lifestyle because they didn't separate the two. And so it's really very, very important to separate your business from your personal affairs so that you can keep them, clean, especially keep it clean. Now, one of the main reasons why I'm a really big fan of business credit is because it really helps you exponentially grow your business. When I discovered business credit, actually, it was a game changer for me. It was a game changer for me. When I learned how to get business credit, I'm like, wow, you can get business credit just under your company's name. You don't have to do it for your personal, because I was the person that was maxing out my personal cards to build my business too. But it's really hard to build a business when you're bootstrapping it, right? If you're trying to get some supplies, if you're trying to hire some help, if you're trying to get a marketing campaign going, it's hard to grow a business when you're bootstrapping and broke. It's hard. It's stressful. So business credit can give you higher lines of credit available, unlike consumer credit, right? Consumer credit, you may just get a $2,000 card, a $500 card, maybe even $5,000 or $10,000, right? Depending on your credit. But as a business owner, they're giving you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Could you imagine if you had a $50,000 card for this business and another $50,000 card for that business and another one for this business? You have $150,000, $200,000, even $1 million in credit available to you however you want to do it, because you could do it for more than one business. You can build business credit for XYZ company, 123 company, ABC company. You can duplicate it multiple times. You get higher credit limits. You get better credit terms. You'll get way lower interest rates on top of that. You just more opportunities for you to make some investments. You'll be able to hire some help. You'll be able to, do the things that you actually like doing. Working on your business rather than working in your business is what business credit is going to help people really start doing, and getting their hands on and start growing their businesses. Yeah. So I'm a very big advocate of business credit, because once you tap into it, you'll be able to grow your business like Walmart, Target, and Amazon, like the big boys do. Yeah. They don't, they know how to get other people's money. They know how to tap into other people's money, right? Yeah. So we should be learning those same concepts. We should be building our businesses the same exact way that these Fortune 500 companies are doing as well, by tapping into other people's money. And banks are happy to give it to you. That's the funny thing about it. They want to give it to you. That's how they get paid. They make money when you make money. So getting business credit can give you equipment financing, invoice financing. It can give you business credit card. You can get some business loans. There's just so much available out here for business owners. You gotta know about this stuff.
Again, go to hisandhermoney.com, 850 Blueprint. That's the number 8, the number 5, the number 0, Blueprint. So one of our power players who is also watching this live, he asks, is Credit Karma a valid website for a credit score? I know you hit on it a little bit earlier, but can you talk about, should they just go by Credit Karma alone, or should they strictly do MyFICO?
I would say if you want your true FICO score that a lender would see, just go to myfico.com. Credit Karma is more like a Vantage 3.0 score. I call it more of a FICO score. That's what I call it. It's more of an educational, let's call it that. It's an educational score to give you an idea of where you stand. I mostly tell my clients to use Credit Karma to just see what's reporting on their credit reports rather than focusing on their scores. Because regardless, your scores are really just a representation of what's on your reports. So if you've got collections and late payments, your FICO score is going to be low anyway. So I would just say more so focus on what's on your report rather than focusing on the actual scores. If you do already have good credit, or if you don't have anything negative on your credit, then I would say go with myfico.com so you can start rebuilding it and just kind of seeing where you really are in relation to what that looks like if you were to go to get approved for something. But yeah, you can use it, but it's kind of more educational than factual.
What about Discover? I know that at one time, I believe they still do. They have the free. I think you can check your credit score for free.
Scorecard.
Yeah, is that okay or?
I believe. Actually, forget if Discover has FICO, if they have FICO scores or not. When you actually log into these kind of systems, they'll actually tell you right under the score what type of score it is. So you've got the Vantage 3.0, you've got the FICO, then you've got also a new FICO. I think it's FICO 8 or FICO 3. I get the numbers mixed up, but it's got all these different types of credit scores. But if you want your true one, just go to MyFICO. That's your best bet.
Now, you told us that business credit is important, and a lot of somebody's just heard that for the first time. How do we navigate those waters? I know you know, it's an extensive, long, a whole lot, but just some basic beginner type knowledge on business credit. Okay, this is what I should look into, research, or do if I want to build business credit for my business.
Yeah. You know, building business credit is very similar to building personal credit, actually. So your business credit can be built through getting business credit cards and loans. So it's very, very similar. But the first step to getting business credit is having an actual business. So, you know, getting the LLC or the S Corp, the C Corp, establishing an actual entity separate from you. Now, some people always ask me, well, can I do this with a sole proprietor? You could. I wouldn't recommend it. I just wouldn't recommend it. I would say start an actual entity, something that's separate from you. So that's the first things first is incorporate your business, go get an EIN number, a business bank account. Oh, that's like the most important thing is getting a business bank account. Get a business bank account, get a business phone number, a business address. You have to have something that stands on its own 2 feet, okay? So you got to get all these little components, get the licensing, the insurance, whatever you need so that your business can operate and function. Because whether you realize it or not, when you apply for business credit cards or loans, these companies are going to do research on you. They're going to look online and see if you got a website. They're going to see if you got a phone number listed. They're going to see, do you have an address? They're going to see, are you a legitimate business? Because if that were the case, anybody could just go on there and say, hey, I want a business credit card, but they don't have a business. You've got to have an actual business. That's step one. Step two, after you have an actual business, then you start applying for vendor accounts under the business name. Now, these are some accounts that you can apply for. You can get supplies, you can get office furniture. One of my favorite companies that we use is Quill, Quill. Amazing company to help you start building business credit. Amazing company. It's like Office Depot. They sell everything. Quill, Quill. Now, you'll have to build vendor accounts, and once you get about 5 vendor accounts or so, then you want to get into retail accounts. Retail accounts are like Amazon, Walmart, you know, these kind of accounts where you can only spend money at that specific store, right? And then once you get enough retail accounts, then you want to move into major cash cards. And major cash cards are like these. These are my business credit cards. Like, you've got American Express, Business Fleets, PNC, Chase. They'll give you all of that as long as you build your credit from scratch. I would also encourage you all to really focus on also getting your personal credit to a 720 and above, because although you really don't need good personal credit to build business credit, that's actually not a necessity. Having good personal credit, however, will unlock all the doors for you, not just some of them, all of them. So if you want to get all the funding and all the financing and all the credit available to you as a business owner, then work on getting your personal credit to a 720. If you don't have a 720, you can use a credit partner, which is somebody that you can use to leverage to get your business approved. And then that will report on your business credit reports only. It won't even report on your personal credit, on your business credit reports only. So that's the 4 steps. Get credible, get some vendor accounts, retail accounts, and then you can go for some cash cards.
Awesome. Now, as we wrap this up, I want you to talk about responsibility, right? A credit card credit in general is like a knife.
Yeah.
It can be used to hurt somebody. It can be used by a doctor to heal somebody. But it's all about the operator of the tool. So talk to everybody, because you just gave everybody a lot to think about. And we don't want nobody to go out there and go
crazy.
cray. Okay? So talk to us. Wrap this conversation up about how to be responsible with your credit.
Yeah. The number one rule, the number one credit commandment that I give to people is never spend more than you can afford. That's the number one credit commandment. If you can't afford it, if you don't have the cash in the bank to pay for it right now, then you can't be swiping your card. Or if you are a business owner and you say, okay, I've got this $5,000 credit card, right? I've got this credit card. How am I going to use it? Well, you should really only be using your business credit for productive activity, meaning it's going to produce something, aka money. So if you're going to put your business credit, if you're going to use it, let's say you're going to use $2,000 of it to put into marketing, you need to have a plan on how you're going to get a return on that investment. Always have a plan on how you're going to use your credit, how you're going to make that money back, how you're going to pay that debt off. Never use your credit without a plan, because when you use your credit without a plan and you don't have a plan for your money, let me tell you something. All these other companies, Walmart, Amazon, they all have a plan for your money. They all have a plan for your money. So if you're swiping your card and you don't have a plan for it, you're going to be cut with that knife. You're going to be cut with it. So never spend more than you can afford. And then number two is if you are going to spend it and you don't have the money in the bank, have a plan for how you are going to pay it back. How long is it going to pay? How long is it going to take you to pay it back? What methods are you going to take to pay it back? Have an actual plan for it. Those are those two main commandments that I give for people if you really want to be responsible with your credit. Never pay more. Never max out your credit cards. Never pay them late. Never ever do that, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Good stuff. Now, before we let you go, we got one last question from one of the members of Power Couples University, and they were just wondering, what are some of the best credit cards to apply for? Since you want us to get a card or two.
So it depends. This mainly depends on the condition of your personal credit and or if you want to get business credit. If you want to get a business credit card, I find that some of the easiest cards to get actually are American Express. Those are some of the easiest business credit cards to get actually. In fact, when you get approved for one American Express, what I noticed is that they don't really pull your credit again after that. So I realized when I got my first American Express, they pulled my credit one time. And then I started getting these pre-approval offers when I would go into my back office to pay my bill. And they would say, well, you're pre-approved for this American Express card. And so I would apply for the card, but they wouldn't hard pull my credit. So for whatever reason, American Express, once you get your foot in the door, they actually don't just keep pulling your credit over and over again. So that's actually something good to know. So American Express are some of the easiest business credit cards to get. With personal credit, this is highly dependent upon what your personal credit looks like right now. So if you have like a 680 or a 720 and above, I would say start working towards getting credit cards that give you cash back and rewards. I'm a very big fan of credit cards that give you cash back and rewards because I don't really see a point in using other people's money if I'm not getting something in return for it, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I can swipe my own debit card if I wanted to, right? But you have a lot of great benefits from using credit. So with credit, I would say if you're really wanted to take it to the next level, start using credit cards that give you cash back for those bills that you're already paying on it, or use your credit cards to get some travel points so that you can take some free trips with your family. That'd be a great perk to get out of having credit. So Capital One has a lot of those credit cards. You can also go to, I think, creditcards.com. They have a credit match tool, and they'll actually match you up to credit cards that you'll be able to get approved for. So that's a really good place to get started.
All right, y'all. Listen, Jeri ain't no joke.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all need to get underneath her teaching. That's how they say in church. Get underneath the teaching. You need to get underneath her teaching. Go to hisandhermoney.com/850blueprint, man, to get started.
The number 850.
Go ahead, do that thing, girl. Appreciate you. Now, are you on social media? Can people check you out there?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to connect with me personally, you can connect with me at Jeri Toliver. That's Jeri. Simone Toliver with one L. Or you can follow us on Facebook. That's Fly, FLYY.credit. That's FLYY.credit. Fly.credit. You can find us there at Instagram and Facebook. We're always sharing really good information on our YouTube channel as well. So you can go over there to YouTube, find us at Fly Credit Solutions, and we've got information galore on that page. So if you want to know about getting your credit higher, if you want to know about repairing your credit, if you want to know about paying off some debt, increasing your income, building some business credit, yeah, that's the place to be. That's definitely the place to be. So we're everywhere. If you ever want to schedule a personal consultation with us directly to find out more about how you can take those next best steps towards reaching your goals, you can do that directly at flycredit.com. So that's FLYYcredit.com. Schedule a free consultation, and I'll be more than happy to help you getting that one step closer to your goals.
Awesome.
And Jeri has a cape on her website because she's a credit superhero, guys. So Jeri, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share all of this great information with us.
And we want to thank our Power Players who have joined us live. If you are interested in becoming a Power Player, go to powercoachuniversity.com. We would love to have you.
Until next time.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.